Oh my goodness, behind the back shot, it works!
That's it, we just want to win for our team.
My goodness! And everyone finishes it!
Yeah, we're just as good as the men, or better.
It's a huge point for the Bay Area. Good chance that's the #1 highlight of the week.
Alrighty, welcome back. This is week number 10 of MLTT, Major League Table Tennis, and we are in the East Coast right now. The East Division will battle. Get ready for the first day of action, coming to you live from Winter Haven, Florida. First, warmly welcome our officials, Wendy Pan and Jovana Knežević. And now the first challengers, they're in first place in the East Division with 223 points. Put your hands together for Carolina Gold Rush! And their opponents coming in right now as the #4 team with 155 points. Make some noise for Chicago Wind! Looking good, Chicago represents. Oh, I'm loving it. I'm feeling good about Chicago Wind in this match today. I think they're going to be the strong favorites in this head-to-head, but only time will tell. So, let's shake some hands and slap some skins and let the games begin!
Well, how about Adam Bobrow with a spicy take to get things rolling here at the Advent Health Fieldhouse in Winter Haven, Florida. Welcome to February of Major League Table Tennis action. As the season winds down, the intensity ratchets up. And this is a rematch of the very first match in MLTT history back in Daytona Beach in September. It's Chicago and Carolina, the Gold Rush, healthily atop the East Division. Chicago in last place, but there's a roadmap that we'll discuss as the Wind try to find their way back into the top 2, which would get them into the playoffs, which was just announced will be in Chicago at the end of April. Later tonight, we'll see Florida and Princeton, but we get started with Carolina and Chicago, and we say hi, everybody. Evan Lepler with Matt Hetherington. It's great to have you with us. Before we dive into the nitty-gritty, are you sure your fantasy team is submitted?
I've never had any problem submitting mine, okay?
It's been an issue for analysts lately, so just wanted to get that squared away off the bat.
Mine's in.
The season is winding down. The intensity is accelerating because there's only 2 weekends left for these teams in the regular season. That's 6 matches left. There's a real sense of urgency, in particular for a team like Chicago.
Honestly, I think this match is it for the East Coast. I mean, if they don't set themselves up going into the final matchup in New Jersey next month, they might fall behind too much here. So for the bottom 2 teams that are trying to push up into the playoff, this is crucially important right now.
Quick look at the lineup. We'll start with Sasha Khanin and Roman Lorenz. These two have played multiple times already this season, with Lorenz taking 2 out of 3 in a couple very competitive matches. In the 4th single spot, we'll see Kazaku and Angles. Those 2 guys played against each other way back in August at the inaugural MLTT Ocho event. We also have an interesting doubles matchup. Sasha Khanin, who was not available in January, is back for the win, but they are missing Damian Provost, who has been their top player for much of the season. So It's Chicago and Carolina to launch our doubleheader of Friday evening table tennis under the sun. See the Crocs later, but right now it's the Wind and the Gold Rush from the Advent Health Fieldhouse here in Winter Haven.
The top 2 teams in each division based on points will advance to a crossover playoff, which was just announced for the end of April in Chicago. Be there, and if not, be online watching. The players you should know about, representing Chicago Wind, he comes from Belarus. We call him Sasha. A big warm welcome to Alexander Khanin. And on the other side of the table from France, he's fast and he is consistent. A warm welcome for Carolina Gold Rush's Roman Lorenz.
We need to wait a moment. You can warm up. We need to wait.
So we're hanging on here for a commercial break because this is TV business. This is how it goes. When you see a good point, watch the replays on that big screen right over there. Cheer when you see something good. If you're in the bleachers, use them. Stomp those feet and make some noise. This should be quite the show. And if you've never seen it live before, it is definitely inspiring, no doubt about it. Don't forget, you can pick up your merch between the team matches later if you haven't already. And you can even practice your table tennis outside on a robot, against anyone you can, and get your pictures with your favorite players because these superstars will only be in town this weekend. Do not miss your chance. So in the grayish blue, Chicago Wind, Sasha Khanin. In black, we have the #1 team, the Carolina Gold Rush, Roman Lorenz. Remember, no deuce. And every single game.
Roman Lorenz and Sasha Khanin to get this competition started as the Wind and Gold Rush face off for the 5th time. Carolina has had the lead going into the Golden Game in all 4 previous matches. However, Chicago upended Carolina for the first time in the Golden Game in January, so the Wind trying to build on that momentum as Khanin serves first. That caught the edge. That's a good way to start the weekend.
Perfect way to start the weekend.
One.
And sometimes it really feels like we haven't seen Khanin for quite a while.
Well, the last time we saw him was in November when he won a match against Enzo.
Right, that's true, yeah. Because he wasn't here for the cross either.
Yeah, he missed the Rock Hill weekend in December and then was unavailable in January. So this is the first time in about 3 months for Khanin, who is not a high draft pick, but immediately assumed one of the top spots on the Win roster. And he's been a solid player, not spectacular, but solid, respectable. And these two guys have brought some really exciting stuff out of each other. I mean, Lorenz took 2 out of 3 when they first met back in September, and then Lorenz won 2 out of 3 again, but close games, some exciting points. Let's take you back in time. This is the footage in September. This is what these guys looked like about 5-6 months ago, Matt. It's like they haven't aged a day.
4, 3.
It's that early pressure that a lot of players face in Major League Table Tennis. Of course, you have shorter game formats. Every game matters because it contributes points to the team, so the pressure on the serves has been pretty high, I feel.
Khanin won both points there on Lorenz's serve. And then third ball attack to retake the lead here in this opening game. 3 games to 11, each worth 1 point in the overall season standings. Now you can look at the one-loss records. Carolina's 13-3, Chicago's 6-10. But more important is where they stand from a point perspective. And look, Chicago is in 4th place. They begin this weekend 13 points shy of Princeton, who's in the spot above them, and 26 points out of a playoff spot. And that may seem like a lot, and it is a substantial gap between Florida and Chicago. But there is reason for hope if you're the Wind. 7-5 lead for Lorenz as they'll go back to the towels. The reason for that, Matt, is because the Texas Smash went from 3rd place to 1st place 2 weeks ago out in Portland. They were 32 points out of 1st place when that weekend began. So the Smash had a great weekend. The team that was in 1st place, the Bay Area Blasters, had a rough weekend. Texas produced 47 points out of the possible 63 that were available, whereas the Bay Area Blasters had just 14 out of the 63, so they were down 32. They outscored the Blasters by 33, and that's why Texas is in 1st place in the West heading into Seattle in a couple weeks.
And of course, you've got to remember as well, this was the first matchup that we saw for the East Division last time, and the Wind came out really strong in the opening match to seal the win against Carolina. So I'm sure they'll be hoping to try and replicate some of that form, but then also continue it on. I mean, it's going to be a tough weekend for, I would say, also for both of these teams. Princeton Revolution in particular, they performed really well last time, and they were kind of short of their best team. They had Nishant Labaka was in from the draft pool. Didn't have Koyo, didn't have Wang Jinshin, so
7-9.
It's going to be a really interesting weekend, that's for sure.
Most teams pretty close to full strength. The only exception would be Chicago without Damian Provost. We've seen teams struggle without a key player. We've also seen sometimes jiggers the lineup in a different way, and it works out. There's a great short return there from Roman Lorenz, and he's got a few game points here against Sasha Khanin. Roman's been a regular. He's played in every MLTT weekend he's been eligible for. Unable to catch the edge there off the top of the net. Khanin stays alive here in this opening game.
Certainly helps for Laurence that he's more based in New York.
Sure.
A little bit easier to travel than some of his European counterparts.
Opening game on his paddle here at 10-8. Khanin able to stay alive and puts the pressure on Roman here with his serve at 10-9. Roman being really deliberate, taking his time before that last serve. Doesn't take long for the intensity to rise at an MLTT weekend. All here in this opening game as Khanin takes both points on Roman's serve once again. Like we saw 21 times in 90 games out west a couple weeks ago. Golden point, 10-all. And Lawrence able to fight it off with a strong backhand return. Roman gets the first place Carolina Gold Rush on the board first. An 11-10 win over Sasha Khanin in game number 1. Khanin opened things up with an edge ball, Matt, but in the end, Roman Lawrence able to get the benefit of the doubt.
You could tell that Sasha was looking to step around. He wanted it deeper to the backhand. Clever placement. JP and I were talking, and JP, you said something about the serve. You recall? I'll help you out. I think you said, wow, they serve short so much. And I said, well, they serve on the shorter side of half long. Generally, at this level, the only time you serve really short is if you think someone's going to step around the corner and you can leave it short to their forehand, or the opposite. They're going to be completely out of position. But it's very easy to keep a short serve short. And a long serve, if it's not surprising and well placed, it's very easy for the receiver to attack with a full swing. So what they do is they serve half long, where you can't tell if it's going to come off the table or not. And in that time that you hesitate, your options become worse and better for the server to win on a third ball. Players back for game number 2. Let's hear it for Sasha Khanin and Roman Lawrence.
So Sasha Khanin able to catch the edge on the opening point, but at 10-all hits the net. Unable to get lucky twice. 11-10 for
Second
Lawrence
game,
and Carolina.
Gold Rush to serve, 0-0.
Now they had basically already booked their tickets to the championship weekend,
hope
but
so.
mathematically this just inches them closer to doing so officially, which they could do before this weekend is over if they have another really strong weekend. What were the big takeaways from game number 1 between these two?
Yeah, I think generally with Roman, he's quite good at keeping the reverse serve short, but he also redrops a lot. So I think Sasha a couple of times was kind of out of position when the ball was redropped to his forehand. But also he's got to take these opportunities to get in quick. He's got to play quicker into Roman's backhand. I mean, we all know, I mean, Roman's very open about it himself, even in the post-match interviews. He's always going to try and play forehand. So getting quick into the backhand side is a pretty key strategy that Sasha needs to play into. And I was actually quite surprised at the end that when Sasha came in for the serve at Golden Point, that Roman really committed to the backhand flick receive. So, I mean, once Roman gets on the forehand, things tend to compound. He gets on the first one and he tends to stay on it. So Sasha's really got to apply pressure.
Whoa.
4-2.
Miss hit. And then some. 4-2 for Khanin. Reminder of the competition format. You got the 4 singles matches, the 1 doubles match, all 3 games to 11. And then the golden game, which is worth 6 points in the standings compared to each of the 15 games to 11 that are worth the 1. 21 total points available. And one trend that we have seen all season long, but has been accentuated lately, is the team that's ahead going into the golden game has a great chance to win it. The 2 weekends so far this year, Matt,
2-6.
11 of the 12 matches have gone to the team that had the lead going into the golden game. The only exception was Chicago, Carolina, back in early January in Broward County.
I think that's a good sign. I mean, you want to see the... Oh, it's a net clip. Oh, that'll do the trick.
3.
Yeah, I mean, you want to see the team that has the upper hand from 4 well-fought singles matches and the doubles. have that advantage going to the golden game. But in saying that, the outcomes are still, they feel closer than what you would see on paper. Just see Rahman keeping the ball in that cross-court zone. Doesn't seem too phased playing softer with the backhand if he's playing backhand across. Brings things back to within 1. Khanin's been playing with good confidence on the forehand counters. He's gotta get in on those opportunities when he's looking for the backhand corner.
From a power ranking standpoint, Roman Lorenz has the edge in this matchup. Rahman comes in this weekend ranked 24th. Khanin number 38. Power rankings determined by their singles results, their doubles results, their golden game results, and also their table tennis rating outside of MLTT factored in as well.
That's the kind of play that he needs to be trying to use more. Picking up the half long shot, applying some pressure into that backhand corner. Rahman's not going to counter-attack with the backhand. He's going to block for position and try and get back on the forehand.
Nice idea by Khanin. He almost caught it. But Lorenz pummeling away.
Certainly had the time for it, and you could see Rahman kind of drove that ball straight down. Perfect opportunity for Khanin. He probably needed to let the ball drop a tiny bit more.
How hard is it to turn the ball around like that after a big attack to try to go for that top spin attack from deep in the court?
It really depends how the person at the other end of the table is heading it. I mean, if you have a shot like that from Rahman where he's heading the ball quite downward, you have a lot of time when the ball's dropping back to you. But if they're driving angles and getting the ball really deep towards the barriers, it can be pretty tough.
Lorenz down by 2 with a couple serves here in game 2. Stayed with the forehand, but missed the table with it. And Khanin takes a 10-7 lead. Now, Roman had a 10-7 lead in game 1, and we did get to 10 all. Khanin wants no part of that here. And the Belarusian able to claim game 2 by a score of 11-7. So we're just getting started. We've already got an intriguing rubber game. This opening singles match, it's coming up. Khanin with the early equalizer, 1 point apiece.
Don't get me wrong, I think everybody here is great from everywhere you are. Courtside, pretty amazing. Justin Timberlake, Taylor Swift, the President of the United States, whatever that may be at the time. Those are the people who will own courtside seats in the very near future. I wouldn't be surprised if someone ordered you for season 2. And you get a free shirt. The price of a shirt, and it's worth it for the shirt, the quality shirt, is more than the ticket itself. So you're basically getting paid to sit VIP. That's what I'm saying. Isn't that crazy? You guys could sit VIP 3 times a day and buy new tickets. You wouldn't even have to work. I love it. Hey, guess what? It's 1-1 right now. This is the decider. Let's hear it. Game number 3.
Khanin and Lawrence
Third game.
even at
Queen
one
serve,
game apiece.
0-0.
And both players trying to give their teams an early edge here at the outset of this MLTT weekend in Winter Haven, Florida. Khanin strikes first in game 3. We're about an hour from Orlando, about an hour from Tampa. This is the 3rd time Major League Table Tennis has held a East Division weekend in the Sunshine State.
0-2.
And it's always nice to come to Florida in February.
Yeah, anytime during the winter on the East Coast. This time, Romain Lawrence a little bit stronger with the backhand attack.
Great stuff from Khanin.
1.
Good tactical adjustments from him. He's been really good on the serve return, cutting that reverse pendulum serve. He's keeping it short and low. Lawrence is picking it up just half long, and Sasha's been pretty confident on the counter. I think that's what really helped him turn around the second game, and also getting the ball into the backhand without putting too much pressure on himself.
Question right now, will history repeat itself, or will Sasha Khanin exact a little bit of revenge? He's certainly swinging with confidence right now. Khanin wins the point.
Close. That was close.
And a 4-2 lead for Khanin. Lawrence took 2 out of 3 in each of the 2 previous times that these 2 guys played, nearly sending Lawrence into the bench area on that last smash. Khanin's looking good right now.
Certainly starting to look more confident on the attack.
Wong and Hazen's a rematch of a singles battle we saw last month. Wong taking 2 out of 3 in pretty exciting fashion.
Gets around on the forehand. That's when he becomes significantly more dangerous, when he can make those counters anywhere on the table with the forehand.
Kejnovic, lead umpire for this opening team match between Chicago and Carolina. Eric Owens, head coach of the Wind, USA Table Tennis Hall of Famer.
Yeah, unforced error there from Sasha Khanin. The ball is about double the height of the net. You can't be missing a shot like that. Can be tough to get it down the line though.
See if that misses the turning point. deuces the long ball, and Khanin back up by 3.
And some great angle work and shot variations there.
8-4.
So much went into that point for Sasha Khanin, and it was an admirable effort by Lorenz to fight his way back into the point. Khanin really never let him back in, though.
Great inside out forehand to finish things off.
You could tell Sasha was wary about making an error there.
As you should be. Need nerves of steel for those kind of rallies.
9.
How about this?
4.
After Lorenz took the opening game by 1, Khanin is closing in on earning a couple points for his Chicago Wind.
4-10.
Game 2 is close and competitive. Game 3 has been relatively one-sided. That error that he made at 6-4 or 6-3, the last error he made. And Khanin puts this game away
11-4. 2-1.
with some style. 11-4 in game 3, and Khanin gets 2 points for the win. The big Belarusian off to a good start this weekend here in Winter Haven, Florida.
Remain seated until the seatbelt light is turned off. Wow. So the win 2-1 up right now. Sasha Khanin with a big delivery, 11-4. Impressive rallies, right? Crazy rallies. If they can keep the ball on this table for this long and someone hitting it that hard, how does the ball not explode on contact? Incredible. The athleticism, the fast speed, we've got a variety of styles here today. And I will tell you, I need to look at the lineup again. I'm going to do it right now because I want to see if it's going to happen. We might have history made here today. And in fact, we do. There is one player today who will be playing with the grip that you don't see very often for his last time for a long time. Interesting.
2 minutes. Warm
I'll
up.
tell you about that later. Coming to the table now, representing Chicago Wind, a 3-time U.S. national champion, a 2-time Olympian, back in the game. A warm welcome for Tim Wong.
Chicago Wind head coach Eric Owens checking his notes. Got to be pleased with the performance of his first singles player, Sasha Khanin. Sasha joins us now. Congrats on taking 2 out of 3. You lost a tough golden point in the opening game, but you really played convincingly in games 2 and 3. What was the difference, and what were you most proud about with that performance, Sasha?
I think totally all match was a little bit different than before because I already played twice against him this season, and 2 times I lost. 2 times was really close, but somehow I was really, I was a little bit nervous. So now I think the key was that I try to play like always a little bit calm. Also, first set was same, just a little bit unlucky in the end, 10-10 I lost my service.
And when you play against someone like Rahman, he tends to play a lot of forehand. And
yeah.
if you can find his backhand, there's a little bit of passiveness there.
Yeah, but you know, same time when the players like him, they always play forehand. When they start to play a little bit backhand, it's always a little bit uncomfortable. So
this is true
yeah,
also.
this is true, yeah. So I can say that for me to play against him really uncomfortable. So I'm really happy that I can win. Yeah.
And how important do you think the serve receive was for you? Because, I mean, I think throughout the match was consistently pretty good. You were able to keep the ball really tight, especially against his reverse serve.
Sure, it was very important, and I tried to serve totally different than last 2 matches. So I think it was also the key. Yeah.
Sasha, a couple times during that match, you got Roman way away from the table.
Yeah.
And he kept getting it back. What's going through your mind in those situations?
I think nothing. Honestly, nothing. I just try to enjoy every rally, you know.
Well, Congrats on getting the first win of your season over Roman, and
Yeah.
we'll see you in a couple hours for the Golden Game. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Sasha Khanin gets Chicago in front 2-1. Meanwhile, Jeremy Hazen's off to a strong start in the second singles match, claiming both points on his serve against Tim Wong. Wong took the opening 2 games when these two met back in January. Hazen won game 3 to salvage a point. Opening 4 points of this match all go to the server. Matt, what do you remember most about the battle that these two waged in January?
I think Jeremy tended to play more passively. I mean, last time we saw Tim playing in Florida in January, he was actually much more aggressive on the backhand side than we'd seen from him previously. I mean, he hit some, you know, he looked really confident out there and he was playing really assertively. And if you can maintain a high level of consistency and be a little bit more on the aggressive side, that's a good thing to have in your corner when you're going up against someone like Jeremy, who he really does a good job of covering the whole table and kind of bringing every ball back.
Big forehand rips from Hazen.
3-4.
I think he even said in the post-match interview himself that he didn't attack enough. You know, he had opportunities to attack and he just didn't go for it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some more forehands and some more counters sneaking into this match from Jeremy Hazen.
Takes both points there on Wong's serve. Hazen, 23-year-old Canadian. He'll be 24 later this month. That caught the edge.
5-4.
Well placed by Timothy Wong. 32 years old, from Taiwan. Now lives in Colorado.
5-all.
Wong made his MLTT debut in Rock Hill. Did not play the first 3 events, but played for the win at the interdivisional event and played again last month in Hollywood, Florida. Held his own both times. He finished 2 and 4 in singles at each of the 2 weekends, but he has 1 more points in the Golden Game than he has lost by 1. But just to win 50% of your points in the Golden Game does the job.
Good record, yeah. Tim coming in with the backhand aggression there.
6.
You can definitely see that Jeremy Hazen is trying to be more aggressive.
Six-all opening game, the second singles match.
Yeah, Hazen really
Going for it.
up. Yeah.
6.
You gotta figure, you look at the whole landscape of the schedule today. This is a huge match for Chicago. For Sasha, getting 2 out of 3 was significant. Enzo Angles and Hong Lin have had ridiculous success in doubles.
Win.
Enzo's had tremendous success in singles against virtually everyone. Kai Jong has played well. So if Carolina has the edge in doubles in the 3rd and 4th singles matches, Chicago needs to try and build a little bit of a cushion. Wong trying to do just that. 9-7 now for Wong.
9.
Hazen
7,
trying to
10.
get that ball in early. Doesn't really have too much power, but gets a lot of speed from taking the ball earlier in the bounce.
10, 8.
Hazen's still alive here in game 1, but the game on Wong's paddle at 10-8.
There's been a lot of action on that net
11,
today.
9.
Players always looking to keep the ball as low as possible.
I was going to say, that net is always busy.
Big serve for the US Olympian.
And he'll take game
11,
2. A
9,
little good
first
fortune
game.
mixed in. Wong able to escape after Hazen fought off a couple of game points. But it's a 3-1 lead for the last place Chicago win. Does Chicago have something special brewing? Off to a good start here in Winter Haven.
Started training with a coach, playing tournaments, and now I'm over the league. And that's pretty cool. That person also understands what's going on in great detail and is probably learning quite a lot just watching these pros. If anyone has any questions at any point, anything you're curious about, I don't want to single anyone out, but I'll be happy to come answer your questions. It could be about table tennis, it could be about format, anything you're curious to know. Why do they wipe their hands on the table? Why do they touch the table a lot? Why? Good question. To dry their hands. Towel breaks are only allowed every 6 points. In Chinese-speaking places, this means 6. So every 6 points, you can use a towel. But in between, they'll wipe their hands near the net or on the side of the table where the ball is unlikely to bounce.
3 of the first 4 points going to the Chicago Wind, the team that enters this weekend in 4th place in the East, despite the fact that Chicago has a very positive record in singles matches this season. Entering today, there were 101 and 91 in singles games. Now the doubles record and the Golden Game record speaks to why they're in 4th place, but singles has been pretty smooth for Chicago.
0, 1.
Yeah, I think that's been the case with them since quite early in the season, and I know in the beginning, especially after their first win, when we finally had our first post-match interview with Eric Owens, he was saying, you know, they felt confident in their players' ability in singles. It's all about locking in those golden games, trying to find a good doubles combination.
Well, I wanted to ask you this, Matt, because obviously I've got the numbers. Team leading going into the Golden Game has the edge. But, you know, through the first half of the season, it's about a 70% edge. The last 2 events, 91%, 11 out of 12. We're seeing fewer Golden Game comebacks, and I'm wondering if you think that might be because
0,
you know,
4.
players are getting more comfortable with it. There's less variation. Do you have any theories as to why there have been fewer Golden Game comebacks recently?
I don't know if I have an exact answer, but I think one of the things that's become kind of evident, and I feel like it was actually Eric Owens that kind of started the wave, was there's been a little bit more risk when it comes to choosing the Golden Game orders. And Eric, when they came up against Carolina last time, was very specific in
5-1.
trying to match up Dan Liu against Hong Lin. I mean, Carolina with Hong coming up against the other women's players on the East Coast have had a huge advantage. And it kind of seemed like the other teams started to follow suit with that. So that was interesting for me. I don't know whether it contributes to that statistic. If anything, it kind of muddles things up even more. But, yeah, I mean, I guess as the season has gone on, the coaches have realized that the Golden Game really holds really key importance in getting points and getting over the line.
My theory would be that, and I could be way off, but I feel like, you know, there have been 64 Golden Games now in the league. Most players have played in 4, 5, 6, 10, 12 Golden Games. And I just think it was so novel and so unnerving early on. I think players are getting more comfortable with it, so we're seeing more steadiness.
I think you're right. I think you're definitely right. There's a lot of the players admitted, and even in the video that MLTT made about.
They're going to talk. They're going to figure a few things out.
Listen in to the Carolina huddle.
不敢给他接正手啊，第一板全部到正手去啊。我第一板应该往了。我拿正手接啊，right？ 发球我都，而且这边挺适应啊，我操。可以，你可以发他反手直接长，发完可以撩你正手，快带他，快带他。不要碰呀，带他呀。对。不要碰，碰他连续了。他很慢的，稍微打到 aggressive 一点。稍微提点速度。
Folks, Matt's been studying
I got it.
every day since we last chatted. Matt, what do you got?
One of the things that stands out from that is they're basically saying that Tim's the way that Tim plays is quite slow. So Jeremy has opportunities to counter, and he should be using his forehand to counter. So it was Kai who was saying, you know, he plays slow. And I think Jeremy was also asking some questions about how he should serve.
Hazen able to take that point out of the timeout to go back up by 2. This is a battle of Olympians, U.S. Olympian versus a Canadian Olympian. How excited are you for the upcoming Olympics this summer?
You know, you get to a point where
he's not on the edge of his seat, folks, just to let you know.
I'm almost not.
He's comfortably leaning back, reclining in his seat.
I would rather watch something like this where I have to kind of... I don't know who's going to win. I mean, I know which country's going to win the Olympics. If they don't, I will be absolutely shocked. So...
What about the race for the silver medal?
It's not. It's a race for the bronze medal. Yeah. I mean, it's always great to watch. It is the Olympics. It's a pinnacle sporting event. But honestly...
Who you got for the bronze?
I genuinely don't know. I really don't know.
Who you got for the gold?
It depends who plays. I would say Fan Zhendong's probably going to win the gold. And then if Sun Yung Sha doesn't win it for the women's, I'd be a little surprised.
So you think there's a pretty good chance that China takes gold in the team event?
They're the most winning Olympic sports team in any sport, so yeah. There's been a lot of nets coming in here, I think, mainly from different changes in pace. You can see Jeremy's getting those counters in though. Definitely being more aggressive. He knows that's what he needs to do. Some great little battles going on here between the two players. Tim Wong, also an incredibly consistent player. especially in topspin rallies.
Game points for Hazen. That'll do it for game 2.
11-7, second game. Gold rush.
Second straight match that will get a rubber game as Wong and Hazen split the opening 2. Jeremy bounces back from an 11-9 loss with an 11-7 win. Rubber game coming up.
Will advance to the crossover playoff. 2 teams. They're doing well right now. Now, in terms of the lineup, JP asks, JP, do you remember what you asked? Good question. How do they decide the lineup? Who plays against who? So the answer is the first match and the last match are between either the top player or the second player for each team based on their rating. And the second and third matches are between the C and D players. So you're always going to get those matches. An A player will either play an A player or a B player. And a C player will either play a C player or a D player. In doubles, it must be one player who has not played a singles or will not play a singles, and one player who does. So, 5 players will play, and they'll all come back at the end for the golden game. So if you have favorites, don't worry, you'll get to see them again too.
Hazen and
So
Wong
decider,
tied at 1 game apiece. Chicago leads 3-2 on the team tally.
Game, gold rush to serve.
And 1
0,
game to
0.
11 between these 2 Olympians. Before we get to the doubles match, Khanin and Tan versus Angles and Lin. Hazen serving and Wong returning.
0-1.
Don't know if that was intentional from Jeremy to serve a kind of long, slow serve. Tim's really out there putting a lot of energy on the line in these points. You can see in the back corner Roger Kang behind Tim Wong. He's been at every single match through the MLTT season. Hazen's such an unsuspecting player. You kind of look at him and it doesn't seem like he's doing that much, but he has an incredibly good ability to really use quite a simple backhand stroke to set himself up really well. Has great placement, great changes in ball pace. It's very hard to hit through.
3-1.
What would you advise Wong to do to try to get Jeremy off balance?
I think it's tough because he has to apply a little bit more pressure from his side, which it's more risky. I think putting heavy rotation and good placement on the first ball, but then he's got to get in and try and disrupt things a little bit. I think heavy spin is really a big key here for Tim. I mean, the thing that he wants to avoid is getting into these long rallies where Jeremy's just comfortable and just blocking the ball around. I mean, you burn through a lot of energy in a rally like that. And
Win to serve.
you know, when you're working full time and then coaching on the side and trying to get in some practice, it can be pretty taxing to play a match like this one. Tan just out there battling through these exchanges.
Everything coming back from Hazen like he's a backboard over there.
Definitely think wider forehand angle for Tim if he can create that angle.
There's a wide forehand angle from the other side.
Bit of a holster shot there from Jeremy. Yeah, Tim's got to start moving the ball away from Jeremy more. It's really hard to stay away. You know, when you're playing someone who's giving you quite a nice backhand ball in terms of pace, you kind of get lulled into playing back there all the time in these rallies. Of course, we have the doubles up next after this.
Doubles have not gone well for Chicago, specifically against Carolina. They've only won 1 game in 4 team matches against the Gold Rush. Common denominator has been Enzo Angles, and most of the time it's been Enzo and Hong Lin doing the damage. Competed in the 2012 Summer Olympics. 3 times the U.S. men's singles national champ, 10, 12, and 13. Also won national championships in men's doubles a couple times, mixed doubles 3 other times.
And Tim Wong with the backhand further back off the table. Alex Kazaku liked that one. You can see Tim trying to go into that middle crossover as well. See if he can find some weakness there.
5, 8.
Hazen just looking unshakable out there.
Timeout, Chicago. Win.
Eric Owens taking the timeout as Hazen has crept back within 2. And we discussed earlier why this point in particular is so important for Chicago.
You're playing great. You're in control right now. What's your plan for the serve? Huh? What's your plan for the serve?
Coach of the Chicago win. Or flat. Or I can even serve a long one too. If I serve side spin, get ready for
I don't like to exactly. Right, so you have
maybe I think the flat one is better.
Those are both good options.
I don't know.
Okay, you've got to get more accurate in that elbow, right? Because it's a little bit off center, and he's able to come over it a little bit.
I went wide too, and I need them for.
Right.
Yeah, wide. Yeah,
No way! That's so cool. You guys look at the same community.
Everything like right here is where his strength zone is, right? So if you can get it a little bit out wider, he's not moving his feet at all. Okay, or right, it's directly in the middle of that elbow. Okay, but I think that's a great serve and attack play. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, let's go. Get your feet set. Okay.
Let's go.
Some very calm and confidence-inspiring words from Eric Owens.
Of the World Championships. I thought you said
First thing he said was, "You're in control."
I don't think either of us are world champions. All right, back from the
It's always a good thing to hear.
1-1, 8-6.
He's certainly in a good position here. I like Eric encouraging him to try and get that ball out wider to the forehand.
Do you like that timeout as opposed to waiting, 8-7 or 8-8?
Yes.
You've gotten there?
I think they've recognized how important this match is.
But Hazen, strong stuff.
7.
He got the ball right down that white edge line. Brilliant placement. this is the area that Eric Owens is trying to get Tim away from, playing into that backhand 2/3 unless he can really nail Hazen's elbow and crossover between backhand and forehand.
Seven, 9.
So for Jeremy, he really needs to win 2 here. Otherwise, he's going to be in a pretty difficult situation. He'll take the first.
8, 9.
What do you want from Jeremy's serve here?
Definitely something tight, I think.
One of the better rallies we've seen so far today.
Very vocalized point there from Hazen, but Tim really rising to the occasion in some of these rallies when he's back from the table. Big wind-ups. You can see him getting Jeremy away from the backhand where he's so comfortable, opening up space.
Game points for Wong at 10-8. And 9.
10, 9.
If you can't win it here, the serve goes back to Hazen. Ten all.
Alrighty, you know what it is. Say it with me.
Kind of exactly the ball that Tim wanted. You know, he went back to Eric Owens and talked about serving side spin or serving no spin to get that soft opening.
Hazen serving on golden point. And Hazen comes from behind and takes 2 out of 3 for Tim Wong. Wow.
You had to have thought the amount of risk to play a long serve into the forehand at this stage of the match. What a play from Jeremy Hazen to close it out.
Hassan or just one Hassan? Hassan what? Dugan. D-U-G-A-N. That's so funny because one of my favorite movies is A League of Their Own, and Jimmy Dugan spells his last name nearly the same way, Hassan. Congratulations. You're welcome. Oh, thank you, thank you. Okay, I like it. And what's your name?
My name is Michael.
No way, that's my middle name. We got Michael, we got Mike. Where's Mike? Mike, VIP, I see you, Mike. Looking good. Although better from the front. Although you're sitting next to someone who's incredibly well dressed. It's a perfect match with that skirt. MLTT's fashion goes with everything. Am I right, Juliana?
Warm up.
Super good. Okay, Michael, and rap. Oh my God, it's rap. That's so funny. It actually is. So rap, I didn't recognize because I haven't seen him in a few months. I played him in Orlando, and we had a picture on Facebook from a decade ago because I worked at a Japanese restaurant with one of his friends, and we both played table tennis. True story. And rap, just introduced himself as Rap, but didn't want to say your name one more time. Jeffrey. So, rap is actually...
Well, this team match between Chicago and Carolina is tied at 3 points apiece as we head toward the doubles. And the reason the Gold Rush aren't trailing is because of this guy, Jeremy Hazen. Great comeback in Game 3 after being down 10-8. What was the key to that victory, Jeremy? Congrats, and how'd you do it?
So actually, first of all, Timothy's style is very difficult for me because he doesn't have the power also, and I don't have the power to finish him off. So he just stands back mid-table, and he just lets me miss first. It's like we rally, and then he just stands back and plays normal style, and then I miss, and that's what happened. But I think in the end, what led me to victory was the fact that I stayed calm, because you can see from 3-1, I lost 8 points in a 7 points to 1. It was like 3-1 to 8-4. so I was in really bad spirits. But I guess the last ball, especially at 1-1, 10-10, I didn't mean to serve that ball long, half long. I actually meant to serve it short, but I think the feeling here is a little bit weird for me. So that ball went a little bit high, and it didn't go high, it went high and long too. So then when that happened, you know, I made a split half-a-second decision.
You have to be pretty happy with how that point
Yeah,
played out.
I just went to pivot. I just closed my eyes and I pivoted because I knew that he's going to kill it because my serve sucks. It sucks so badly. So I had to just pivot and take the risk. And this time, the risk that I took worked. So I need to take more risks. I think if I want to improve my game, that's what I got to do.
And yeah, you mentioned that last time when you played against him last weekend as well, the need to be more aggressive. And were you actively trying to look for more forehand opportunities out there this time?
So definitely this time I was more aggressive than last time. But I think this time I was still passive aggressive. So I was aggressive. I tried to be aggressive, but I had some tense. So that's why I missed a lot of actually like chance balls.
Jeremy, we're watching the doubles right now, but stick with us for a second. What has it been like watching Enzo and Hong Lin develop their chemistry playing together over the course of the season from your perspective?
I would say throughout the season, it's a sense of security because they're just so stable, and every team match they're able to guarantee points. So once I know I have them by my side, it just gives me a sense of security that, you know, it's okay if you lose, just do your best. They'll be here to save me.
Appreciate your perspective. You don't need saving today. You got 2 out of 3. We'll see you in the Golden Game, Jeremy. Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, Khanin and Tan are off to the best start they could have asked for through 3 points, certainly. 3-0 lead for Chicago, and now Carolina's doubles duo on the board. Angles and Lin have set the standard. They're number 1 and number 4 in the MLTT power rankings. They've been in the top 5 basically these two all season long.
4-1.
And for Khanin and Tan, they've played doubles together a couple times. They got a game off of Enzo and Bastien Dupont, that very first team match back in September. They also played against Enzo and Hong in October, and 3 pretty close games, but all of them went to Carolina, 11-10, 11-7, 11-9. We've seen Damian Provost play doubles. We've seen Alex Kazaku play doubles along with Emily Tan. And Khanin gets the nod today.
Well, he certainly made a good impression in his opening singles. Be interesting to, if you were going to do a kind of dive down the rabbit hole into breaking things down, be interesting to see how the doubles results have played out in matches where Enzo's played singles first compared to when he's come into it kind of cold or
6-2.
not as warmed up.
He's played first more often than he's not played
Yeah,
first.
that's true.
But today's one of the small handful of days that he's not in the 1 spot. It is a good question.
7-2.
7-2 lead for Khanin and Tan. I'll tell you, the interdivisional weekend, Chicago found a groove in the doubles. And part of that was the competition from the West, and part of that was Emily Tan gaining confidence. She went 9-3 in doubles that weekend. But then she went just 1-8 a month later in Broward County.
2-9.
And look, Emily is 17 years old. She's a high school senior. The fact that she can hold her own from time to time with some of these professionals on the other side of the table is astonishing to begin with.
She's probably one of my favorite people to have in the post-match interviews. I know Johan Hagberg's going to hate hearing me say that, but
you said one of your favorites. You didn't say.
Enzo drifting quite far back from the table here. Pretty slow start from Carolina Gold Rush duo.
Uneven at best. Everything working for Chicago that game.
11-3, first game.
Convincing rally to close it out. Confident looking strokes from Khanin and Tan. And a surprising result in the opening game of the doubles. The Chicago win back on top of the team tally, 4-3.
By keeping that power rating up high, has to win in doubles, in singles, and the golden game. Your MLTT power rating and ranking takes all of this into account. So watch, he'll be very determined. They're gonna switch order of play now, so it's the opposite of as it was in game number 1. Wherever you're sitting, give me that look, raise your hand if you have any
Superb
questions.
start for Chicago in the doubles as Sasha Khanin and Emily Tan take the opening game 11-3. A lopsided score we've seen so far today. See if Carolina can respond. Enzo Angles to serve.
I think
that's more like it.
Yeah, and I think this order is going to have, well, it's going to take a little bit of pressure off the Carolina side. Hong's going to play pretty tight to Emily Tan, and Enzo's going to have the chance to attack Sasha Khanin.
0-2, wind.
Enzo's season statistics are pretty ridiculous at this point. You know, entering this weekend, he's won 77% of his singles games, 79% of his doubles games. Overall, 75 and 21 in singles and doubles combined, and he's also got one of the best golden game winning percentages as well.
Captain reliable. I learned the hard way during the cross division that if you're doing fantasy league, you don't not pick Enzo Angles. No matter what it costs you to pick up the lower end of your lineup, it's a fool's errand to do fantasy league without Enzo for the East Division.
I understand where you were probably coming from. You're like, everyone's going to take Enzo. I'm going to differentiate myself. But because he is so reliable, those are... Oh, that caught the edge. And it's 6-0 here in game 2 for the dynamic duo for Carolina. Yeah, I don't know what it is, Matt, but you and I have a pretty similar mindset, I think, when it comes to fantasy. And when I looked at my lineup versus yours, 6 of our 8 players, if I'm not mistaken, were the same.
Yeah. Always seems like the 2 players that don't match up have done pretty well for you in the past number of weeks.
Well, yes, but you've got the early lead today, because I have one of our differentiations was I had Roman. He won 1 game. You had Hazen. He won 2 games.
I have Sasha as well.
0.
So.
Yes, but I have Sasha too.
Oh, yeah, true. 9-0 out there right now. There's the sign-up link for the MLTT Fantasy League.
1-9.
Prizes each round, so even if you haven't been submitting your picks for the season, you can still join each round and have a chance to come out on top in the weekly standings.
And that'll do it for game 2. Over very, very quickly. Not a total skunking, but
could have been.
Might as well have been. 11-3 to Chicago, and then 11-1 the other way to Carolina. Make some sense of that.
Game number 2, 11-1. That's a statement, am I right? Yeah, that's a statement. There's some energy in the room. We got some energy from what's your name? Alex, I'm Adam. Nice to meet you. I'm Alex. Jake, I'm Adam. What's up? What's up? That's the question. The eternal question. What's up? Man, what is up? Seriously, what is up? This is getting deep over here. No, I'm just kidding. All right, what is up? Let me give you this. It's 4-4. It's tied up right now. Carolina Gold Rush, the #1 team, was down 1-4, and they won the last 3 games. Have you guys been watching MLTT online? Okay, so you know what's up. Oh, I see. He does Audra, what? You got numbers wrong. Who got the numbers? What did I say? You guys, Chicago Wind was up 4-1? It wasn't the way it was scored. I got my numbers wrong. It's okay. It wasn't that. It was 3-1 though, yeah? You remember that? 3-1? And then 3-2. Okay. Thanks. When you own a team, you listen closely. When you're just excited, you just sort of...
Oh, we very nearly saw an 11-0 game for just the second time in MLTT history, in almost 1,000 games that have been played. The irony, though, is that the one time we saw 11-0 was Bastien Dupont over Andre Lapchick.
Very well.
And then Andre won the next 2 games.
Yeah.
Pretty comfortably. How did he do that? And how have Carolina turned the table so quickly here? Is it just about the order?
The order plays a big role. I mean, it happening in singles is wild. But when you're changing order in doubles, it can make a huge difference. And you're going to see the pressure's really going to be on here in the first 5 points of this game, because when the order switches at 5, the Chicago Wind pair really want to have a lead, knowing what just happened to them in game 2. But Carolina...
Enzo's warmed up.
Yeah, Enzo wants to make sure that they get in the lead early here. Certainly stepping up the aggression a handful of gears. You can see he's also staying much closer to the table as well, which is
15 of the last 16 points to Carolina here. Well, Chicago did not do what they needed to do before the changing of the sides, as you advised.
No.
Dan Liu, Kai Zhang, third singles coming up next.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough situation for Chicago Wind. They're going to have to step things up pretty significantly here if they want to avoid a continuation of this run here from the Carolina Gold Rush.
It's almost like Enzo chugged a Red Bull after game 1. Chicago on the board here in game 2, but certainly a sizable deficit to try and overcome. 2 in a row for the Wind. We'll see Enzo Angles in singles against Alex Kazaku, 4th singles spot.
And Hong racket on the ball, and Sasha Khanin can only smile and salute on that one.
8-2.
Somebody wants a replay on that, and they'll get one.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it was Adam.
No one brings more energy to the facility than the great Adam Bobrow. Net ball. Ricocheted past Angles. 8-3 now. All 3 matches so far today, we've seen tied 1 game apiece heading into game 3.
4-8.
Emily Tan the last couple of points, staring down the barrel and taking on Enzo. Comes out on top. Hong's got to be careful about playing soft and long to Emily.
This was 7-0, and now it's 8-5. If they can win 5 of the next 6, they'll be in pretty good position. A very small margin for error right now for Chicago. And to Jeremy Hazen's point, I mean, this Carolina doubles team, they are a warm and cozy security blanket.
Yeah, really.
Game point, Carolina. And that'll do it.
11-5.
An uncharacteristically rough opening game for the Gold Rush in the doubles, but then Enzo and Hong return to form, 22-6 in the second 2 games, and Carolina in front 5-4 overall.
The interesting grip out there, the penhold grip of Hong Lin. She was 4th ranked man or woman in this league, number 4 out of all the players, which includes free agents. And this is part of the reason why. She plays incredibly smart.
Well, we've had a lot of conversations after Enzo Angles' victories this year, but not too many, Enzo, where you dropped the first game 11-3 and then dominated the next 2 the way you and Hong just did. Was it just, you know, waking up to start this match that cost you that first game?
Yeah, only that. She was very afraid. A long time she was not afraid like that. And the problem is that when she's afraid, when she hit the ball flies. So she has to really hit the ball like quite like smoothly, you know, like it's really like about confidence on the table. And then the touch is totally different. And then directly on the receive, she's closer. Then after, for sure, I can play also better. And so it's good because we woke up. We lost the first, but after we woke up quite fast.
Do you, we don't have any stats on this, but I thought it would be interesting. Do you generally find it a little bit more difficult going into the doubles match when you haven't played in the first singles spot?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Actually, today it was good if I started with double. So no, it's good to put myself in condition for the rest of the weekend. It's nice.
What did Coach Yang say after the first game? Was it just that she needed to be more aggressive?
No, he said, "Oh, maybe we should stop playing." I said, "Yeah, you're right."
Seemed to be sound advice.
22-6 was a pretty big rampage to close that out. What were you most pleased about the way you guys finished that match?
The last 2 games?
Yeah.
No, we were just more aggressive. And then, of course, when she's more aggressive, I have better balls. When I have better balls, she also have better opportunities after. So that's why it's a double, and it's important to play for the other all the time.
And so we'll let you go get ready for your singles match. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dan Liu and Kai Zhang coming up here.
It's amazing. Kenny is
Meanwhile,
actually got the #1
I learned
facial
that last night
And Ryan
Enzo Angles
right now, but has got
took
the
on
best tattoo
Adam
collection of
Bobrow
all of our ball kids.
in a
You'll have a
very
chance to see them
intense
if you look closely.
table
They're like
tennis
ninjas.
match
They're fast
that
and
was
keeping it
filmed.
smooth.
I'm not
So
at
coming up
liberty
now,
to share the
Dan
results
Liu,
right now.
Chicago
But let's
wins,
just say that
who will
Enzo
be
had his
playing
hands
10
full
holes today.
with
So
the
take
Snake
it all
Man.
in, because it might be a while before you see him
There's
play
usually
that 10 holds grip.
some kind of
Anytime
point
soon.
deficit that's built into those.
I think Adam started each game 7-0.
First game, gold rush to serve, 0-0.
I haven't exacted my plans yet to try and play a golden point against every player in the league. I can have you run the stats on it afterwards.
How confident would you be if you were going against me and you gave me 9 points each game?
Nine would be interesting.
0-2.
Because, you know, there's always some potential errors that can work their way in, but
I was going to say 10, but I thought 9 would be more reasonable.
nine's tough but doable.
1-2.
I mean, we'll have to find out, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Are we doing golden point as well? That's tough. That's when it gets tough. If there's juice, there's a bit of a safety net. If it's golden point, things can get ugly really quick.
3-1.
I vote for the ugly.
That sounds like a vote for me.
So Kai Zhang in front 3-1 early over Dan Liu. 4-1 for Kai, who's really been playing well lately. He went 8-1 in Rock Hill. He went 5-1 last month in Hollywood, Florida. He's now 23-10 in singles games this season.
2-4.
He's also won more golden points than he's lost. He's been a really solid, what you'd call a CD player for this Carolina team, which is to say he's not one of the top 2 rated guys, but he has cleaned up against the players in the CD bracket.
I'm not sure what happened with that serve. Might have bounced off his body or something, but point went to Dan Liu.
3-4. Five, 3.
That's well done from Dan Liu.
5,
Clean pick up there, half long serve. Just whips the ball down the line.
Liu even things up here in game 1. 5 points apiece. Liu, 32 years old, originally from China. Now lives out in the San Jose area, California. He's 32 now. He moved to the U.S. a little over 12 years ago. He was 19. Former teammate of his had become a coach in the United States and basically offered him a spot to do the same.
6-all.
Kai Zhang, of course, also originally from China, started training when he was in kindergarten. Moved to New York at age 15. Neither of these guys could speak a word of English when they first came to the United States, and both of them are pretty conversational to fluent
really
now.
are. Yeah, and I know Kai went through the whole school system and then went to college, and I think he was at Binghamton and maybe Buffalo. No, he was definitely at Binghamton.
Yep.
Because I think that's where he was studying when he won the national college champs. These two in USATT events have played 5 times, dating back to the 2016 US Open. Kai Zhang has won 4 of those occasions. Dan won last 2020 adult national team trial and Olympic game trials.
This is their first meeting, though, in MLTT.
It is.
The format is a little bit different.
This is where things really count.
The format creates a greater sense of urgency, doesn't it?
Yeah, which I love.
Every point counts, you know,
Yeah.
in a match that you win 3-1 or 3-2 or 3-0, it doesn't matter. But here, it matters a great deal, whether it's 3-0 or 2-1 or 2-1 the other way. 8-all here in this opening game.
I think also it keeps the players engaged the whole time. I mean, you can see sometimes if players are playing a singles match, a player can just totally switch off, and you know they get into a position where they don't think they can come back and win, and things just kind of go downhill. But here, there's something attached to your results, and at no point can you kind of turn off because you're playing for a team, not for yourself. When you're playing for yourself, letting a match go or kind of, you know, letting things trail off, it only affects you. But when you have a bench of players on your team behind you, you have to stay in it from the very first point to the very last. So that, for me, is what makes Major League stand out.
9-all.
Players go to the towels for the final time here in game 1.
Blistering backhand there from Zhang Kai. When he gets going, he can hit pretty equal power off both wings. Right now it's
the serve.
Dan Liu holding the serve. Get the first, drives Dan back from the table.
10.
So Zhang in an enviable position, chance to win it on Liu's serve, and then a chance perhaps to close it out on his serve. Liu, the pen hold grip, and Kai Zhang just takes charge immediately.
9, first game, goal rush.
3 straight points for Kai to close out game 1, 11-9. Similar to what he's done all season long for the Carolina Gold Rush.
A few things that I forgot to mention earlier. He asked what the age range was, and I said, we got a guy who's 43. We also have a guy who's 15. So, a lot of 16-year-olds in the league. Emily Tan is a younger sister, actually. She's in high school and has an older sister in college, but she's paying attention to coaching right now. Another fun fact that I learned, we've got an incredible camera crew here. If you're watching that screen, the production is incredible. For a first season, everywhere this has traveled, people are pretty mind blown at the level of production. So you remember Harry and Andrea? I was going to introduce them because they just seem like a good fit, maybe like they might get along well. I found out that they have a grandkid together operating that camera. Yeah, Jackson. What are the odds? And if you've ever met Jackson, you'd want to come over here and like high-five Harry and Andrea for giving grandchild birth to Jackson, because he's an awesome guy, so they must have raised someone who raised someone really well. It's always good to know. Other than that, in doubles, they were signaling to each other with their hands before they played the point under the table.
So entertaining opening game between Zhang and Liu. 11-9 to the Carolina player.
0-0.
Now Liu will look to continue the trend of evening things up. So far today, the player that has won game 1 has not won game 2. See if that trend continues. Deep serve for Liu and an emphatic forehand winner.
0-1.
I had a good chat with Dan Liu yesterday, Matt, and learning a little bit more about his story in table tennis and how he basically stopped going to school when he was 12 years old to train.
Yeah.
And like, I've heard these stories and read them in preparation, but when you have the conversation, you get a different perspective. I asked him, what was the decision like to stop going to school?
Not his.
Well, yeah, it was his parents' decision.
Yeah, exactly.
And, and that's a really hard decision for parents to make. And obviously, China has dominated the sport of table tennis forever. They've won every gold medal since 1988, when it was introduced into the Olympics. And you think, like, are they just predisposed to be better at table tennis? Well, I don't know if it's that. It's that they've been practicing 7, 8, 9 hours a day since they were very young. And it's just almost impossible for anybody else to catch up unless you're training like that. At least that's kind of what I've gleaned and induced from these conversations. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the top table tennis players in China, they're celebrities. They're as famous as NBA players are in the US. So when you have a system that fosters that and that presents the opportunity for you to be a national star in your sport, it kind of takes some of the risk out. I'm not saying it takes a lot of it out, because I mean, table tennis in China is as competitive as the college system is in the US, potentially more so. So yeah,
far fewer spots at the highest levels for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So getting to that level is not an easy thing, but the opportunity is there. If you can get to that stage, if you can get into, you know, the Chinese Super League or into the first or second national team, there's some safety for those players knowing that. Ooh. Big finish down the line from Kai. Yeah, there's some safety for those players knowing that they will be looked after if they get to that level. So I think that helps with it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize what happens to the players that don't make it. And there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
There are a huge number of players that don't make it.
And what does it mean not to make it?
6-3.
I mean, if you don't make it into the national team, or at least into the top province team, then you know, you're kind of relegated to being a training partner in different various places. Sure. You know, at province level or city level training halls.
Dan said that he still continued to do some schooling, but not nearly the same as if he was actually going to school.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean,
basically the ratio would have, you know, 8 hours of school and 2 hours of training.
Yeah.
Flip it around.
Yeah. Yeah.
8 hours of training, 2 hours of school.
Yeah. Which means, you know, by the time they're 17, 18 years old and they know, they probably have a pretty good idea by then. Big rallies out here between these two.
5, 6.
Yeah, once they get to that age and they know that they're probably not going to make it into that top tier, they don't have a safety net to fall back on. So it's been interesting. I mean, you can tell the players that have come here and they've dedicated to studying, as well as, I mean, the fact that they've kept up the table tennis is what impresses me more than anything. Knowing that they're, you know, studying and looking for jobs and trying to create a career for themselves. And you have these players like Liang Jishan, Zhang Kai, Dan, you know, Tao and Zhang.
Yep.
These are perfect examples of guys that you can tell that they love the table tennis, that it's an integral part of their life.
Win to serve.
Two-point lead for Liu here in game 2. Zhang handled that deep serve pretty well.
Yeah, Dan got away with it on the opening point, but when you have a player who's so explosive in their attacking shots, you've got to be really careful using longer serves.
Is Dan, clearly we're seeing signs of frustration. Is he questioning his tactics, or is he just questioning his execution?
Definitely execution. I think he got the ball that he wanted there. It's kind of a little bit softer to his backhand. Probably would have been better off stepping around. Chance even things up at 7-7 here. Dan needs to get the second game, especially with the Chicago win kind of starting to slip behind a little.
8-7.
Nothing Dan can do about that. That's 4 straight points now from Kai Jong. And he's got game 2 in his sights. Liu not done yet though.
8-9.
Good strategy when you get that ball that pops up a little bit. Just driving the ball straight at your opponent. There's that backhand flick that Kai used to finish off game 1. All the way across to the forehand corner.
Jung's had both wings working in this match. Frustration mounting for Liu. Game points for Jung on his serve. Liu fights off that one.
10-9.
Big point here. And that missed the edge. Jung with a fist pump. And a confident looking stride back to his bench. He's up 2-0. And Carolina creates a little more separation on the scoreboard. Jung closes that game on a 6-2 run. 11-9 victory for the second straight game for Carolina.
Time.
Spectacular to watch. Now every team
Time.
As time is called, the players will come back to the table. So a new person sits on the bench every day. Tomorrow, same time as today. 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock. Sunday, 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Do not miss your
Third game.
It is not
So for the first time today, a player has won the opening 2 games of their match. And it's Kai Jung going up 2-0 on Dan Liu. Jung serving to start game 3, and he's got a quick 1-0 lead. Matt, I know you're anticipating my delivering what you think is my favorite stat. I don't want to disappoint you. That's a heck of a shot by Liu to even this game up 1 game apiece. So throughout the season, we have seen a number of times a player go up 2-0 and then fail to win game 3.
2-1.
And in the East Division, players are only winning game 3 after sweeping the first 2 games about 50% of the time. The West Division, those 2-0 leads way more often become 3-0.
You know what's actually interesting about that is when you correlate those two things together, it kind of helps explain a little bit more. Well, maybe it doesn't explain more. It's interesting to correlate those two things together, and you look at the score differentials between West and East. The West Division's been a lot closer, which is bizarre.
Well, I think you can perhaps correlate it a little bit with the East's domination of the West at the interdivisional weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, this is my speculation. So let me just ask you, I mean, why do you think East Division players have won more games when down 2-0 than West Division players have? And it's a substantial difference. East Division players, when they're down 2-0, are 32 and 32. West Division players are 19 and 43. Significant sample size.
Yeah.
That's just in that game 3 after being down 0-2.
If you can find a reason for it, I will be astounded. It's pretty tough to narrow down an exact reason for it.
5-3.
I think it's interesting.
Change. Thank you.
Dan Liu switches sides at 5-3.
3-5. Gold rush to
I
serve.
mean, I don't even want to call it a theory, because
it's becoming one.
Well, it's the kernel of a
4-5.
theory. Is that there are more veteran players in the East. There are more long-time professional players in the East compared to the influx of teenagers that we see out West. I mean, every team out West has
that's true.
Teenagers. And I think, you know, the mental strength that it requires to maintain your focus and bring your best when you're down 0-2 is something that you grow over time as an athlete. But I'm just spitballing.
All.
Our colleague, who always has an opinion, has chimed in via text.
Is that what we're calling him now?
Sean O'Neill, who's
we're gonna call him
listening
O'Neill
intently back in his home in Portland, Oregon, where the Paddlers are still dancing after their recent Golden Game victory. Sean opines the East has more professional players, the West has more coaches and kids. Beating a player 3-0, not easy when your opponent is a pro.
6-8.
I tend to agree with that.
Timeout, Chicago. Win.
Timeout taken by Eric Owens. This game and this match slipping away from Dan Liu, and he's running out of time to turn it around.
Clear your head.
Raise your hand if you play table tennis.
What are you thinking for serve right now?
Roger, you don't play table tennis anymore? You quit? What happened? Oh, all right, cool. Tyler, you're not playing?
Side spin. Right now, he maybe.
Really?
Yeah, and remember, you did test the one serve short to his backhand. You didn't have a really good option. You also served one time short to his forehand. So you're serving a lot of them like middle forehand. And I think it's a great place to serve, but you're doing it over and over and over. So I think really the options are short to his backhand, short to his forehand, or I would go really, really fast, deep to his middle, right? So you have options. The thing is, when you serve long, he's catching it, but you're too far away. He's catching it with a slow spin, so if you say, okay, I want to serve long for either one of these serves, you've got to stay close afterwards and go for it, okay? Let's see which one you feel, right? I would either go short to the corners or long to the middle, okay? See which one you feel. Okay, but be ready whenever, if you do serve long on either one of these two, and he loops it, right? You've got to come in close and attack. Okay.
Let's go. With your rackets, your A game. Does that sound good?
What do you think, Matt?
Back for the action. 2 points between them.
Yeah, I definitely think the serving patterns have become
0,
slightly
2,
predictable.
6, 8.
And for sure, if he serves long and fast, he needs to have pinpoint accuracy because, it's, like I said earlier, it's just not a serve you can get away with against a player like Zhang Kai. Looks like Dan opts to go short backhand to start things off and then gets in on the attack. Let's see if the words of Eric Owens can make a difference here in game 3. Out of the short exchange, Zhang goes for the big step around forehand.
Going back to the timeout, I like how Eric Owens doesn't start it with, okay, here's what I'd like to see from you. He starts it with, okay, what are you thinking here for this next serve? Keeps the player in control.
8, 9.
If Dan Liu is unable to salvage a point here, I mean, these are the tough matches when you're oh so close 3 games in a row and ultimately earn nothing. Kai Zhang has just been working that backhand.
8, 10.
Boom. At this point, Dan Liu knew that was coming. Dan with the ball on his paddle, trying to get it back to Zhang's serve at 10-all. Work to do. Not going to get there. Kai Zhang with a 3-0 sweep. 11-9, 11-9, and then 11-8. Good news for Matt Hetherington's fantasy team, folks. The weekend is young, but Matt is smiling.
Taking control. Okay, let's talk about what you want to talk about. You want to know where you can get my clothes. So I'm going to open up a merch store. But
Warm
in the
up.
meantime, you can
2
buy
minutes.
them on Amazon and then put this logo on it. This one I think I got from Alibaba Express. But then I printed Major League Table Tennis on it because they gave me freedom. But what I can tell you is these jackets, these shirts that you see, you're in a VIP seat. You should stop by because you've earned yourself a shirt already. And if you want to pour a Crocs shirt, it'll go really well with my pants. So, Amazon.com. I'll give you, wait, say that one more time? Are you guys hearing this? 2024, but she started it. She's asking me to literally...
Adam Bobrow having fun with the fans as usual here in Winter Haven, Florida. And the first sweep of the weekend belongs to Kai Zhang. Kai joins us now. Intense match, close match. All 3 games felt like they were hanging in the balance late. What was the key
to sweeping Dan. Sure, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, thank you. I think the match was pretty tough. You know, every game, like the first 2 games, like 11-9. And I think because we played so many times before together, yeah, like we kind of, know each other's game. And I think my backhand is like slightly better, so I try to keep like most balls on the backhand side and try to start with my backhand, like nana flip. But he did a lot of variations on his serves. He served a lot of long balls that I missed a lot. And then I was pretty happy that I can, like adjust well and win the match at the end. Yeah.
And last time we spoke to you, you were talking about the importance of the third game. You can come out strong and win the first 2, but you needed to get that third point in. So what kind of goes through your head when you get the first 2 games in this match to think, okay, I need to get 3 points for the team here?
Oh, I don't know if you saw, like the first 2 games I was trying to keep, calm and focused, but the third game I actually start to like screaming and trolling, because I feel like the third game is very important and I should win all 3 for the team. Yeah.
How confident were you in your backhand today, Kai?
Pretty confident, like I don't know if you noticed I start to standing a little bit like evenly compared to the standing like sideways, because I feel like I try to change my style a little bit. It's more like to backhand to like receive, because I feel like my forehand receive is not as good. Maybe I need to tailor that. So like this is like the first match that I start trying, standing like a little bit differently. I think that turned out pretty good. Yeah.
And lastly, you've had obviously a really strong season overall for the Gold Rush. The October and November events were solid, but not spectacular. But since December, you've been really locked in. What's been the difference since then for you?
I think I start to practice a little bit more. That makes difference. Yeah.
that does. 16-2 in your last 6 matches from a games perspective. Congrats, Kai.
Yeah,
we'll
see
you in the Golden Game.
Yeah,
thank you. Practice helps.
Just a little practice. That's all it takes.
All right, Enzo Angles and Alex Kazaku, 3-0 lead.
One, 4.
Angles takes a little bit of a lap. Number 1 player in the league for Carolina was the number 1 draft pick. Kazaku's currently ranked number 12 in the MLTT power rankings. What does Kazaku have to do in this match, Matt, to have a chance?
He's got to go on the offensive. I mean, we have seen what this man can do when he's out there swinging. He has tremendous power off both wings. And I think you can really tell the difference between when he gets kind of squished up and when he plays tentatively to when he's playing kind of relaxed and free and swinging through the ball. So he's got to swing. Those, he's got to go for those shots, and maybe some of them don't land in the beginning, but he's just got to keep warming up to the occasion. Because against a player like Enzo, you can't afford to play soft. You've got, if you don't put pressure on him, he's going to end the point really quickly.
Nice showcase of the highest ball toss in the league. Nobody flips it higher than Enzo. And he's got various ball flips, but yeah, it goes with a short one there.
I've seen some pretty amazing ones, especially in women's table tennis. Some of the high toss serves, you're looking at like 4 meters, 4 meters plus, 4 to 5 meter ball toss. I think the 2 players that stood out the most were Tamara Boris and Silla Batofi were the 2 players with
Boris and Toffee.
dude, behave yourself.
8, 6.
But yeah, literally like 5 meter high ball toss. And they do a pretty good job of keeping it a straight angle too, which is harder than it seems.
When Enzo catches a break like that with a net ball, stays on the table.
Really started off as quite an ugly point. Enzo with the chop block, and then both players playing kind of soft and unsure before Enzo decided to get things sorted. And a couple of clips of the net there.
6,
And
10.
the last couple of points from Enzo.
8-4 right now on the team tally. 1 point away from being 9-4. And there we go.
11, 6.
Carolina's
First
already
game,
clinched
gold
at
rush.
minimum a 3-point lead at the start of the Golden game. And that's if Kazaku can rebound against the #1 player in the league. More of the same for Mr. Angles.
A lot of nets in that game, though. Oftentimes, the players apologize or raise their hand to say, "My bad, I wasn't trying to hit the net all the way over to get the edge." Does that happen in your sport as well? Not so much. It's okay. I see you got a Princeton Revolution shirt. Where'd you get that? From Roger. No way! I heard that. He said, "Don't lie. Don't you lie. You bought it. You bought it." I like it. Because I was about to ask Roger for one, but they have a merch booth over there where people are practicing. If you've never seen a Golden game live, come on. It is the most exciting. We've got 2 more games in the singles match before the Golden game, but everybody from the match on both sides will be back for a Rumble in the Jungle style tag team event for 6 points. But now it's Enzo Angles at the table. And Alex Kazaku of Chicago wins a little longer conversation.
Time.
Coming back for the action. Game number 2 in the last match before the Golden Game.
Enzo Angles now 38-11 in singles games.
Second game.
After
gold
that
rush
11-6 win
0,
over
0.
Alex Kazaku. This is the first meeting in singles match for these two at the MLTT level. Game 2 begins with a high ball toss and a forehand winner from Angles.
1, 0.
Enzo from France, Alex Kazaku from Romania. That caught the edge, I believe, yep.
1, 1.
Kazaku wasn't sure, but he asked, and good sportsmanship from Angles, acknowledging that
Easier
it
to
did.
see from that angle. Kazaku getting in with the forehands, but Enzo
1.
up to the challenge in these counter situations. Just keeps driving the ball into the corner.
Too good.
3, 1.
I mean, ever since that first game doubles, when it felt like Angles and Lin were still sleeping, Enzo has been a buzzsaw. And this can't be easy from Kazaku's perspective, because I don't feel like he's played that poorly overall, but just whatever he tries, come back right into his face.
And it's a tough matchup for him because
4.
Enzo is one of the players in the league that's used to competing regularly at quite a high level. So he's playing against a lot of European styles that are at his level or higher. So, you know, when he comes here and he plays against players even as impressive as Alex Kazaku, he's
Whoa. Landed on the microphone. Enzo couldn't do that again if he tried. Although he probably could.
He's pretty well equipped to kind of lock the other players down, so take them out of their strengths. And I can see, Kazaku's taking big risks sometimes. Straight in the net. Heavy backspin serve from Anglaise.
Four, 6.
It was a promising start today for Chicago, and not to dig their grave just yet. They had a 3-1 lead through the first 4 games, singles. Obviously, 8 of the last 9 have been won by Carolina. And the frustration starting to boil over a little bit for Kazaku in the win. And I mean, we've harped on this a bunch over the course of the season, Matt, but the sustained excellence and consistency from Carolina has really been phenomenal. Like, I don't know if you could talk about it enough, because in this league where there are a lot of really good players, a lot of really good coaches, Carolina consistently has brought their best day after day, game after game.
Yeah, I think big props to Coach Yang Shigang for choosing a lineup that has been just devastating on the East Coast. And of course, they also held pretty well in the cross division as well.
I'll say.
I think one of the things, I think Hong's never really been challenged. You know, when they played the cross division, players like Lily Zhang and Amy Wong and Rachel Sung, they weren't here. They were playing the ITTF's Mixed Team World Cup. So having a player like Hong on the women's side, we really haven't seen her challenge for the whole season. I mean, which is why she's sitting in 4th position on the power rankings. She's just been out there crushing it.
9, 7.
Bringing home the bacon for Carolina Gold Rush. It's starting to become a pretty apt name for them, the Gold Rush.
How about that serve?
Ace.
Bastion Dupont could not believe it.
Face.
Game point.
A little bit tight there on the step around from Enzo. Kazaku within 2.
I don't feel like Kazaku's been ridiculously off this match. He just hasn't been able to get into what he wants to do. Enzo hasn't let him. Kazaku battling, but it's not enough.
11.
And Anglaise
Second game, gold
continues this Carolina reign. That's now 6 consecutive games won by the Gold Rush. Enzo will go for the sweep when we come back.
That's a great question. I cut it off. The last part of it was, how does that work? What if the ball hits the net, then hits the camera? How does that work? Well, the ball hits the net, then it hits the camera, which is considered here to be part of the net assembly. So it'd be like it hit the net twice. So the ball is still in play. If it hits the table, it doesn't even have to hit the net. You could hit the camera, and then it would hit the opponent's side of the table. Then you're good. So usually the net is like the camera is considered part of the net assembly. So it's considered part of are big and old-fashioned, and yeah, the tournament director will say, or the competition manager might say, sorry, no. But this takes camera part of the match. Good question. Keep
Time.
it coming. You're welcome.
Well, when Enzo Anglais first came to the table at the start of the doubles match, he and Hong Lin lost 11-3 to Sasha Khanin and Emily Tan. Chicago held a 4-3 lead overall. And I said it had been 6 straight games for Carolina. It's actually 7 in a row. I was correct. It's been 6 in a row, too. But it's also been 7 in a row for the Gold Rush. From 4-3 down to 10-4 up. They'll have a 5-0 lead heading into the Golden Game. And, man, it's been pretty much good night this year when the teams had a 5-0 lead heading into the Golden Game. Only seen 2 comebacks from 5-0 down. Teams are 22-2 with a 5-0 lead heading into the Golden Game.
And you also said that a team that has gone into the... There's never been a team that's gone into the Golden Game guaranteed not to come out on top, score-wise, that's won the Golden Game. Is that still a relevant stat?
If Carolina can get this point here and make it 11-4, they will have clinched the win in the match. And we have never seen a Golden Game won by a team that has not won the match. So
well, maybe we'll see it for the first time.
Chance to see history.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, I think the main problem with this matchup for Alex Kazaku is that he loves playing the big counter loop rallies. And that's a really big strength of his. He's playing those big power looping rallies. But unfortunately for him, when he gets into those situations, Enzo's still coming out on top. So when you pit your strengths against your opponent's strengths and you're not able to win, then it's pretty hard to come up with a viable backup plan, I guess, or to look for other areas of your game where you can try and find an advantage. Enzo not happy with how that point played out. Kazaku in the lead here.
Five, 3. Change. Enzo.
A couple weeks from now, MLTT goes to Everett, Washington, just outside of Seattle. The longest drive for our crew, Ani Benson, who does the replays and drives the van from Florida to Washington. It's a lot of miles, and then back to Jersey.
Of course, you now see also that Final Four date has been locked in, April 27th and 28th. In Chicago, Illinois. Top 2 teams from the West Division will face off against the top 2 teams from the East. We'll be a step closer at the end of this weekend to knowing which 2 of these East Coast teams might get themselves over the line. Enzo getting in early there, third ball attack from the step around forehand. He knows he needs to step the pace up here.
Seven, 5.
Going back to the East versus West, up 2-0, down 2-0. There also might be something to the idea that, you know, the player ahead, if they're a pro and they're used to, you know, they've won the match. They're, you know, we've talked with players all year long how tough it is to mentally reset and value that third game the same. Maybe if it's a young kid, you know, who doesn't have as much experience in that type of match play, adapting a little quicker. I don't know.
Kazaku's warmed up.
5,
He's taken some
9.
of his best swings today in this third game to build a 9-5 lead.
This is a huge game. I mean, Enzo will probably be pretty disappointed if he can't clutch a 3-0 win here. Oh, oh, oh.
Wow.
There was no way that was coming back. Both players with a bit of a grin there.
5, 10.
Nice retrieve there from Enzo.
Just to get it back on the table.
10.
Kazaku
6.
trying to finish this
Better-
match with a flourish.
Ring,
Bit of
serve.
ballet going in here.
He's got to be careful here. If he doesn't win it here, he's up 10-6. You know, could get a little nervy. He'll take it here, though.
11, 6.
And Kazaku able to steal game 3 from Hong Lin.
1.
So the winner technically still alive. If they can come back in the golden game, they could walk out of here tonight winners. But of course, overcoming that 5-0 deficit at the start of the golden game is not an easy thing to do. The most exciting part of the match, though, is coming up momentarily here from Winter Haven, Florida.
Of Chicago Wind, I know we've got some fans here, and quiet fans at the moment, watching in anticipation. And Alex Yang Shigong, for Carolina Gold Rush, the #1 team. I'm not afraid of you. Same. All right. And the commissioner, Flynn Lane, who will be conducting.
All right,
right
so
now,
we'll
the
take
order
a
of
look
play
back
for
at the 5 individual matches that lead into this golden game. The singles started out with a positive beginning for the Chicago Wind. It was Sasha Khanin who won 2 out of the 3 games over Romain Laurence. Another positive start in the next one from Tim Wang, but it wasn't to be. It was Jeremy Hazen. The doubles, what a back and forth of lopsided match. It was the dependable Enzo Angles and Hong Lin taking that for the Carolina Gold Rush. And on the back of that, Zhang Kai, 3-game sweep against Dan Liu. And then in that final matchup, it was Alex Kazaku who won the 3rd game, which kept the Chicago Wind hopes alive. So it's the Carolina Gold Rush who are going to head into the golden game at 10 points to 5 in the lead.
Players that they have representing their teams here today. Harry Andrew, you're on TV. This is your chance. Yeah, energy. I love it. Good grandkid on camera. Was it? Oh, it's him taking the picture. This is
Carolina leads 10-5 on the verge of the golden game. Let's go to the commish, Flint Lane, to determine the order.
Okay, we've got the Carolina Gold Rush are leading 10-5. You'll be starting with a 5-point edge. 6 points are up for stake in the golden game. Chicago, since you're behind, you will pick first and serve first.
Alex Kazaku.
Alex Kazaku is your #1.
Kai Zhang.
Kai Zhang is your #1 and your #2.
Jeremy.
Jeremy Hazen is your 2.
I'll put Emily 2.
Emily Tan is your 2. Your 3.
Sasha.
Sasha Khanin is your 3. You've got Romain, Enzo, and Hong Lin.
Enzo.
Enzo is your #3. Your #4?
Hong Lin.
Hong Lin is your 4.
Dan Liu.
Dan Liu is your 4, making Tim Wang your 5, making Hong Lin your 5. I'm sorry.
No. Romain.
Romain your 5. Good luck, coaches.
Yep.
Well, certainly a slew of surprises in the way both coaches manage that.
Yeah, one thing I'm definitely not surprised to see, given past Golden Game selections from Eric Owens, is him matching up Dan Liu with Hong Lin. I mean, that was a huge play for Chicago Wind last time in Florida. Yeah, but some very interesting shifts in the matchups there.
3 points to be played.
Kai Zhang just making sure he knows how many points these first two players will play. He's up against Alex Kazaku.
Are you surprised that after putting Zhang to face Kazaku, Yang didn't go with Enzo in the 2 spot, instead went with Hazen?
Not necessarily. It can be kind of difficult to lead out with all of your stronger players in the beginning. So I'm sure he wanted some balance there, and to have some, you know, he wants to have his strong players to follow up and to respond to selections as well. It was interesting for me that they put Emily Tan to match up with Jeremy.
Oh, that's a tough break for Kazaku. A very belated and sarcastic celebration from Kai as he and Kazaku shared a smile at the net. Look at this. Off the net 3 times. Kazaku's like, are you kidding me? We got to see that replay again with Kai's belated celebration. Wow. 7-1 Carolina.
Emily Tan, she can definitely get into a counter rally, which could help her in this matchup. But can she put enough pressure on a player like Jeremy Hazen?
Not through the first couple of points on her serve.
Carolina Gold Rush rushing ahead 9-1. Jeremy Hazen with the serve.
3 straight for Hazen and a 10-1 lead for Carolina.
Points for Jeremy Hazen.
Wow. I'll tell you one thing right now, Evan. If I'm not #1 on the Fantasy League standings at the end of this team matchup, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to retire.
It's been a good day for MH table tennis. But again, the weekend is young. 11-1 the score, make it 12-1.
Finds the edge of the racket on the other side, second serve. Heavy spin a bit slower on this one, but the placement just right as Sasha gets the second point.
We have seen Khanin and Anglaise battle in the past. This is their first time seeing each other today across from each other. Both won their matches 2-1. It turns out Khanin was the only player that won his match for Chicago in the first singles spot.
Well, serving 3, second serve for the #1 draft pick.
It's an easy point off the serve. Enzo Anglais heads back to the bench, and now we see the potentially interesting matchup from Eric Owens. Dan Liu taking on Hong Lin. Remember last time they faced off, it was basically serve and big forehand follow-ups from Dan.
Looking for that parallel spin from the backhand and a touch chain. 13 serving 5, 2 serves to come for Hong Lin.
I think Eric Owens was just tired of Hong Lin feasting on Emily Tan and other players, so he's like, enough of that.
Yep.
But, I mean, Liu needs all 4 of these to just match what Jeremy Hazen did to Emily Tan. So
that's also true.
Not
yeah.
a huge advantage gained. Right. That's 4 straight for Liu.
Switch.
And now the pressure's on Tim Wong. Try to keep the momentum going. Roman Lawrence, look, it's been about 2 hours since she's last been on the table.
lost 2 out of 3 to Khanin at the start of this team match.
Roman getting around the corner, driving that ball straight into the backhand of Tim Wong. Tim Wong steps into that last forehand a bit.
Good fist pump from Wong after this point.
Did a great job of just tempering those forehands.
2 serves now for Roman Lawrence.
Reverse pendulum sliding Thompson. And receive carries Wong 15, serving 8.
Wow. Now Carolina's had Chicago's number all season long. They've had the lead going into the Golden Game each time they've played. Chicago had the comeback in January, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be in the cards today for the Wind. Back to the top of the order, Kai Jong and Alex Kazaku. Oh my goodness. Kazaku has been victimized again by some tough luck. Can you believe this? Doink.
Unbelievable. This backhand down the middle.
One-way traffic out here right now.
18 serving 8 Cobra Kai.
Emphatic forehand from Kai Jong. And Carolina's within 2.
See the ball. 19-8. Human moment. The net getting in the way of the play. And Emily Tan comes back to reverse what had happened. It is 9
See if Tan can keep her team alive here. She was swept in 4 straight earlier.
She get one.
Yep. 19.
All starts with 1.
And Emily Tan takes the first point. 10 serving 19, second serve to come.
She'll take 2.
19-11.
17-year-old Emily Tan. Can she handle the serve from Hazen? And that point for Carolina brings the Gold Rush within 1 point of another victory.
And Emily Tan gets 3 out of 4 and guarantees that she gets to walk away from the table.
All that Chicago needs to do is for Khanin to take 4 straight from Angles, and Liu then 4 straight from Hong Lin, and then it would be all coming down to Tim Wong and Roman Lawrence, but that does not seem likely. And Enzo Angles will close it out. 21-12 is the final, and the Gold Rush improved to 14-3 on the season. They pick up 16 more points today. That puts their season total at 239. And in their 5 matches against Chicago, they have outscored the Wind 69
Congratulations, Carolina
to 33.
A big victory here today over Chicago Wind. Don't forget, tomorrow you'll have a chance
if you come at the King, you best not miss.
All teams will play
Angles and Carolina victorious again.
every day. We look forward to having you back in your seats in 30 minutes. We will be starting 7 o'clock local time. We will have Princeton Revolution, one of the most spectacular teams in the league with 2 choppers on us. And also, your hometown heroes, the Florida Crocs. And stop by the merch booth, get your shirts. I want to see everyone in their Florida Crocs shirts so that you can cheer on your home team, get your practice in, and go to mltt.com for all the information you need. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and subscribe on YouTube for all the Major League Table Tennis action you need. See you in just under half an hour.
The Carolina Gold Rush continue to deliver in singles, doubles, and the Golden Game, and we're joined by the head coach, Alex Yang. Congratulations, Alex. Your team's now 14-3. You just strengthened your hold on first place in your division. What stood out most to you about your team's performance today?
First, thank you for whole team to give me a gift for Dragon New Year.
Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you. Happy New Year for everybody.
What stood out to you about your team today? I mean, you were down 4-3, one game into the second singles match, and from there, Hazen ran off 2 straight games. Your doubles team overcame the early hiccup, and then it was smooth sailing the rest of the night.
Oh yeah, everything will happen to start to go behind. So I trust all the players, especially Jeremy, Kai Zhang. They start training and compete a lot. So for CD position, I have more confidence for right now.
And especially, I mean, you haven't had many team losses this first season at all. So coming out of last time when you played Chicago first as well in Florida, and they were able to win against you, what was important for you from a coaching standpoint, if you look at the lineup, if you look at the order, if you look at your team communication, to make sure that they get over the line against Chicago leading out this time?
For now, we're leading a lot of points, so we try to send the best team play first match to win more points, to lock first position in the East, so then we can prepare for the playoffs. That's our strategy. It doesn't matter to win or lose for right now. We try to get the most points we can.
Did you have any different of a message with the season coming closer to its conclusion now to your team with the postseason in sight? Has the message changed at all?
Yeah, we will have some change, but depends on the free market. Because I think next season will be more strong, so we need some strong player to join us. But we will see.
Well, you got a strong roster right now. Before we let you go, the last time you saw Chicago in a Golden Game, you had a 9-6 lead. You started 3-0. They came back to beat you. Was that in the back of your mind as you started this Golden Game?
Yeah. Because it depends how the single match, so the style. So a little bit changed this time. So because we are leading 5, so I should put some people like guarantee get 3 or 4 points to like 2 rounds that we can win.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
In every way. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year again.
We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you tomorrow.
Just clinical excellence from the Carolina Gold Rush.
Yeah, if you had any doubt in your mind after their last match with the Chicago Wind that they were anything less than the absolute dominant team that they've been on the East Coast, Hopefully you've now reconsidered after tonight's opening match.
Look at that gap. They're 71 points ahead of Princeton. So, you know, the Revolution, we know they're not going to catch the Gold Rush, but can they catch the Crocs? That is very possible. And we got Princeton and Florida coming up in about 25 minutes. And it's going to be an interesting tone-setter match for both those teams. Florida has been a little topsy-turvy recently, struggled on their home turf in Broward County in January. Princeton took advantage. We'll see if the Revolution energy can continue, or will the Ojo Mojo bring the Crocs back to the winner's circle. Chicago had a 4-3 lead, but Carolina cruised the rest of the night, and they win it 16-5, winning the majority of the games down the stretch. Impressive stuff from Carolina. Enzo Angles continues to strengthen his performance as the #1 player in the league. So for Matt Hetherington, our entire crew, Evan Leffler saying so long for now. It's Princeton and Florida coming up about 25 minutes from now, and we'll talk to you then.